Wonderfully chewy, light, porous with irresistible big holes on the inside, crusty and crackling golden brown on the outside. Ciabatta bread, hope I'm pronouncing it right. So, ciabatta bread is all about its unique flavor and texture. Apart from the detailed recipe, also find ways to serve it and store it in the video. So, do keep watching till the end. The recipe calls for basic ingredients like flour, water, salt, and yeast. But the speciality of the dough is that it is high hydration dough, 80% to be precise, and that is what makes this recipe unique. Wondering what this baker's percentage is all about? Come join us in our sourdough baking challenge on Instagram for more details. The recipe also calls for 10%, which is 40 grams of olive oil, but this is optional in here. To prepare the dough, all you have to do is in a large container or a bowl add in the water followed by yeast. Stir to dissolve the two and simply dump rest of the ingredients, which is olive oil, flour and salt. Just combine everything using a wooden spatula until it forms and comes together as a shaggy mass of dough. The only thing that you need to keep in mind is that there are no dry bits of flour left in it. It is that simple. If you are watching our video for the very first time, I would love to have you subscribe to our channel and hit the bell notification as I post new videos every single week on baking and desserts. I would love to have you guys on board. Once combined, simply cling wrap it, or you can also use the lid of your container and let it bulk ferment for 3 hours at room temperature, that is on your countertop. By now, you guys know that I absolutely love proofing my dough in the Instant Pot. So I had to try a batch in the pot as well, right? For the sake of this video, I'll keep it simple and won't share the details of how to make it in your Instant Pot as it would get too lengthy. But if you would like to watch the timings, the steps and everything, all the details are given on my blog spicesandflavors.com, the link for which will be in the description box below for you guys. After about an hour, I observed that the dough was rising too much and the box was falling short of space. So I just transferred it to a bigger container. And this is how it looks after 3 hours of bulk fermentation. Note how sticky the dough is. To combat this and make your life easier, I mean, in terms of handling the dough, simply wet your hands and start stretching and folding the dough. So, starting from the corner farthest to you, simply try to lift the dough from the base, stretch it without tearing and fold it back over the dough. Initially, the dough would tear a bit as the gluten strands are not developed yet, but just continue. Then turn the box to 180 degrees Celsius and repeat the steps. Basically, you are stretching and folding the dough on all the sides, that is north, south, east and west. If at any point you feel that the dough is sticking way too much to your hands, dip your hands back into the water, wet it and then continue. You would find it easier to handle the dough that way. Repeat this stretching and folding technique twice during the initial fold, that is during the first time, and then let it rest for 30 minutes. After two turns of stretching and folding, cover it with the lid and let it rest for 30 minutes. So after 30 minutes, this is how it looks and we are ready for our second stretching and folding. Basically, you are doing 3 sets of stretch and fold in an interval of 30 minutes each. And what does this do? This builds elasticity and develops gluten structure in the dough. Since being a high hydration, we are not following the kneading process and this would give the bread that required structure. This is the last and final stretching and folding. So look how the texture of the dough has changed now. You can clearly see the difference. Another 30 minutes and now it's time to shape our dough. So dust some flour on top of the dough as well as on your worktop and invert the container directly onto the worktop. See the magic of the dough releasing itself from the top. Isn't it so satisfying to watch? Usually recipes call for knocking the bread dough, but not in this case. We want those beautifully created air pockets to be there in the dough. So be gentle and carefully try to stretch the dough to form into a rectangle around 27 to 30 centimeters. It need not be so precise. In fact, that is the specialty of these ciabatta bread loaf, that is no two loaves are exactly the same or even in size and shape. So don't worry too much about them looking what do I say, pretty or beautiful in this case, because we need that artistic look, right? So just go for it. Be careful not to knock down the air bubbles and then shape it into a rectangle, divide it into 3 parts. That's it. Also line a tea towel and dust it generously with some flour so that the dough doesn't stick to it. Now lift the dough in a quick motion and place it on the tea towel that has been lined with a tea towel. Be confident and quickly lift the dough and place it onto your tea towel. Build a wall using tea towel so that the loaves do not touch each other. And also during the last resting stage, they are not spreading out and losing the shape. Cover it with a greased cling wrap and a tea towel and let it proof for the last and final time, which is 45 minutes. After about 15 to 20 minutes, preheat your oven to 500-degree Fahrenheit. Place a cookie tray and a baking tray on top of it. Let this preheat and after the final proofing time, which was 45 minutes, gently transfer the dough to a baking tray that has been pre-lined with the parchment paper, either using your hands or this way, which is to cover a foam board or a cardboard with an aluminium foil. Grease it and then transfer the dough onto the baking tray. So choose whichever way you find it easier to transfer. Just note that you do not knock out any air bubbles while doing so. Right before baking, place in a baking pan filled with hot boiling water onto the lower rack of your oven and then carefully slide in the parchment paper onto the preheated baking tray in the oven. Be careful, your oven is going to be super hot. Add in few ice cubes to create steam immediately and close the lid. If you have a spray bottle, then use that to spray 6 to 7 times on top of your dough to create that steamy effect, and then bake this in the oven at 250 degrees Celsius for first 10 minutes and then reduce the temperature to 230 degrees Celsius and bake for another 12 to 15 minutes until you get a nice golden crusty crackling top with a hollow bottom. And that's how gorgeous our bread turns out to be. Isn't it beautiful? Apart from serving this bread to dip it into your soups or stews, you can simply serve it with a side of olive oil and some balsamic vinegar added to it. If you want, you can also flavor the oil with garlic powder, chili flakes, any dried herbs of your choice. Missing your favorite panera style or subway kind of bread? So slice it horizontally, layer with meats, cheese and vegetables, or skip meat if you are a vegetarian, between slices of bread and pressed and cooked in a panini grill. Just perfect. It holds its shape really well. Make yourself a breakfast platter with sauteed mushrooms, blistered tomatoes, fresh loaf of bread brushed with cheese and topped with some greens and sunny side up. Pure bliss and nirvana. That's totally my kind of breakfast there. Find 5 other ways in which you can serve this bread on our blog spicesandflavors.com, the link for which is in the description box below. And while you are there, don't forget to grab our free ebook on tips every home baker must know just by signing in to the weekly newsletter. You can store this bread in a bread box, bread bag, or a simply airtight container like this for around 2 to 3 days on your countertop at room temperature. You can freeze the ciabatta bread as well, so for that simply wrap it in an aluminium foil, place it in a Ziploc bag and freeze for 2 months. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I know these were a lot of steps to follow, but trust me, the hands-on time is hardly much. The rest of the time the dough is either fermenting or resting. So plan your day and do multitasking, which I know you are best at. So I'll see you soon with yet another one. Until then, this is Sushma signing off. Make sure to subscribe, share and comment. I'll look forward to your comments. See you. Bye-bye.